pretty, kind of, a lot of talk about that, isn't there?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
Andrew said that
Oh, it's Ann.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is the video meeting of a ARPA Fiscal Court Committee. And we have two magistrates, Squire Booth and Squire Moore, and myself, County Judge Houston Wells, this morning to discuss our ARPA projects. Before we begin, I'd like for Susan Lawrence and our treasurer to talk about the monies that we have received and a little bit about that, and then we'll follow that with the guidelines for ARPA from Ann Northcutt.
To date, Franklin County Fiscal Court Government has received $4,952,202, which was received in May of 2021. That is the first of two equal installments that, as my understanding, will be made. The second installment will be coming this time next year as the rules are laid out now, for a total to Franklin County Fiscal Court, $9,904,404. The first installment has been received and is in the process of being amended into the county budget to be reflected as county revenue. But the appropriation side has not been determined and is the function of this committee.
All right. Yeah, y'all have any questions for Susan before we go to the guidelines? Okay, now this is going to be difficult, Ann. I'm sorry. To the best you can, to the most knowledge that you have, let's talk a little bit about the scope of how this can be used.
Yes, be glad to. And I will keep the first explanation pretty general. And then as we have questions, I can, seek out those answers if we don't already have them, or if we're still awaiting those from Treasury, I can follow up on those as soon as we receive that. But just for everyone's information, just in case they didn't know, ARPA stands for the American Rescue Plan Act. And these are coronavirus state and local fiscal funds. So there are 5 general areas that these funds can be used for. The first area is to support the public health response to COVID-19. That's mitigation efforts, medical expenses, behavioral health care, and certain public health and safety staff. The second is to address negative economic impacts, to respond to economic harms to workers, families, small businesses, impacted industries, and rehiring of public sector workers if that's applicable. The third is to replace public sector revenue loss, to use the funds to provide government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue experienced due to the pandemic. We will be attending some additional training on this because there's a calculation used and a base year and a lot of things that go into to proving a reduction in revenue that we would have to meet in order to find out exactly what we would be eligible for in that category. The fourth is premium pay for essential workers, and that's for those workers who have faced the greatest health risk and continue to because of their service in critical infrastructure. And the last category is for water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure to make necessary investments to improve access to clean drinking water, invest in wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, and provide unserved or underserved locations with new or expanded broadband access. And those are the 5 categories.
The one that we're probably looking into, as you said, trying to figure out is the public sector revenue loss. I know Susan and you are continually and Tambra looking at seminars on how to use that and how that can work. And there's not the guidelines are still a little bit murky, aren't they, Ann?
They are a little bit, and even those the funds, if we have eligible revenue loss, there are still restrictions on the use of those funds. So that's something we will be learning more about and bringing back to the committee to let you know what the guidelines are on even those funds that are eligible as reduced revenue for county services.
Okay. So with that in mind, I have a list of that I want to present to you all for discussion on ARPA, on the use of monies, and I'll start with the first one, which is very important to a project that we've been working on, and that is the Farmdale Sanitation District, as these monies do fit into the water, sewer, the infrastructure part of how to utilize the monies. And we are having a meeting with the city tomorrow, and we're real close, Annie, to the CASAP agreement, and just a couple more things, and I think this will be ready to move. So I'm going to propose that we use $1.5 million towards the pump station at Twilight Trail. The city, as part of the CASA, had written in the agreement that the sanitation district would charge the customers over a 20-year period for the pump station, and that was automatically going to increase their rates. And with this influx of money, I think we can eliminate that part of their rates going up, and get this project done, get started quicker with that. So I'm recommending 1.5 million to cover the cost of the pump station at Twilight Trail for the Farmdale Sanitation District. The next item, which I think is under this guideline, is very, very, very important, and I truly believe if we don't get this done now, we'll never get it done, and that is broadband in our county. So I'm recommending $1 million of this money to go to broadband. Now that, from what we understand at this point, is a matching money that you use. Whatever you put in, the state will match it at this time. So it'll be $2 million towards basically the project. We'll commit $1 million in ARPA funds, and the state will match it. Well, right now, it's really kind of unclear how all that's going to work, because the legislators appropriated a lot, $350 million, but they only are going to allow you to spend $50 million up front. Now, it's going to, if we appropriate it, then we have it there to go and match it when that becomes available out of that 50 million. So I think that, to me, it's important that we get those unserved people to the best we can and help those underserved to the best we can. And Lambert, that's in your district.
Well, I've got an idea on that. You know, when the line that Verizon is putting out there right now, they're putting an extra line in the ground, also empty conduit, so somebody can buy that, they said, or lease it or something.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're looking. This is the most, to me, the most nebulous of all of the kind of projects that you would think that there's a lot of money being put to this project, but in my mind, it's really, I don't know where you begin, other than what we're doing, Annie, and we're doing that RFP for the study on the needs, right, Ann?
Yes, that study will provide us with a lot of information. It'll provide us with information on the need, but it'll also provide us with information on who our utility partners and vendors can be in this situation, and it may be several, as well as helping us come up with a phased approach if we need that, and an estimate of costs. So I think this study will actually give us a really good direction to head into, because it is such an overwhelming amount of information needed to approach a project like this countywide.
Yeah, every county judge, every mayor, in committees in the Bluegrass Ed, which we are a member of, and who we talk to, everybody says the same thing. It's just kind of overwhelming on what's the next step. But once again, these monies, if we appropriate it, we know that there's at least $1 million there, and that money could be matched. It would be matched by the state. The next step will be is an unknown on what do you do? You send out an RFP or we don't know what that next step is, but if we commit that $1 million, then we know that we're gonna get some more money out of it for it. You're right, but who you go and get? Yeah, who gets that?
Right.
Who does that? So that's another part of it. So.
And it could, Franklin Plant Board might hook on to it, who knows?
And I think the plant board probably wants to,
I don't know.
but we'll have to see on that. So that's $1 million to broadband. The next is also part of infrastructure, and I'm wanting to put $500,000 in a grant fund for the water districts that serve Franklin County, only Franklin County, or that the monies would only be for Franklin County, and those monies would be applied for from the water districts for projects that would help get water to or change lines and to get better service to our residents throughout Franklin County. There's another piece of it that I'm investigating. I don't know. Annie's looking at it as part of this. I wanted, and I don't know how much money, the 500,000, but I wanted some of those monies to go to fire hydrants in the districts where fire hydrants are needed. But Ann's checking on that to see whether that's going to be eligible or not. We're not sure of that, but if it is, then fire hydrants will be part of that $500,000. But that would be left up to the chief and to work, and we will work with the water districts to get the good fire hydrants, not the flush valves, but the fire hydrants to provide fire protection where needed. So that's the third part of the infrastructure piece. The next piece is something that we tried to do back in a year ago, and that is to give it an increase to our first responders, and that is a piece of this. So I'm going to ask that we Betty talk about it, but we increase the pay for our first responders, and I'll define that in a second, by $2 an hour for their coverage of COVID during this pandemic time. And the first responders are defined by the sheriff's office, the jail, and the fire department, and the coroner as well. So those are the people that were on the front line, that were out there during the pandemic time, in face to face with the public.
Will this be a temporary retroactive?
It would be a temporary retroactive, yes. So Betty, will you help talk about that?
We've been discussing, we're gonna get with Ms. Lawrenson on the retro date. And we've got to get with Ann too, to make sure what that retro date is, okay? It's looking like about 6 months. I'm not 100% for certain. It depends on what Ann tells me, how far we can go back, but it looks about 6 months of pay. That would be based on physically worked hours, okay? Only physically worked hours. If they took sick and vacation, they would not get that. We can run a payroll report of the regular hours worked and the overtime. And we would put $2 on the hour. So if an employee worked $2,000 hours in 6 months, then they would get $4,000. I've got to get with our treasurer again on how we would apply that. There would be, we would have to pay into KRS. Sure. Okay. And of course, the 8% would also come out of the firefighters will have to do the 8% for the hazardous pay as well. And we would have to match that with KRS. So it's looking like I don't want to give complete dates yet. I've got to get with Susan and Ann on
It's
that.
gonna be retro.
It will be retro.
retro.
It would be a separate check. We need to do that for audit purposes.
So we're still working on that. I put in roughly 300,000, but it's gonna be a little bit more than that with benefits.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's looking at to get that back pay to those first responders. Okay, the next part is we're gonna have as I told you, Susan and Ann and Tambra, and I'm sure Betty be part of it too, is the looking into how we look at revenue loss during the time. So any occupational tax that was lost, we're going to look at that and see if we can make that up with the monies there to go back into our general fund. That leaves us, Tamara, somewhere, I think you have about a 1.5 million. Isn't that right?
It was close to it.
Yeah, close to roughly 1.5 million for COVID, any if down the road, any necessary COVID issues. Hopefully not. And let revenue loss to work that out. So that's basically what I've worked on, unless there's something else that's okay.
Would you like to, just for the record, take a vote on these projects to make sure that the committee is on board with your ideas?
Okay.
Yeah. I have a question before we do that.
Oh, absolutely.
For the sewer issue, the destruction and of the existing sewer stations and installation of the pipes, is that part of the money that you're going to spend, or we're going to spend on the Farmdale Sewer District? Or
No,
Not at this time.
not at this time. That will come as part of the overall project. So that there's a couple different avenues we're looking at with that. As I told you, the city and the county are going to receive some infrastructure money, and as Ann, will you talk a little bit about that? What you know about that infrastructure money that the state's appropriated to communities?
Yes, through the last session, and my understanding is through the next session, the state is appropriating a part of their ARPA funds because they received separate funding than the local governments did. They're appropriating some of those monies and have for infrastructure, for the same type of infrastructure projects, and they will be notifying counties, it's a calculation based on population. They'll be letting us know what Franklin County's allocation would be, and we would apply through the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority for those types of projects. The one thing that we need to do, which the judge has also referenced, is because Franklin County's allocation will include county and city, we're going to have a meeting and discuss projects that the city and county can agree upon to apply for those funds to use for funding those projects. So that's separate from our ARPA funds, and it's for infrastructure projects. The other part of the discussion, about the Farmdale Sanitation District, the interceptor system, is that we're hopeful. We were chosen as one of the 10 projects that Congressman Barr could take to Congress to ask for funding as an appropriation. And so we're very hopeful that Farmdale Sanitation District may receive, or the Franklin County will receive funding as an appropriation through Congressman Barr's office for that project. So we have a lot of kind of loose ends at this point, but we have a lot of options for how we will put together, help them put together a funding package to get that interceptor project done.
So your answer to your question is not yet, but through other funds, probably. Okay.
When, I understand it's stuck in Congress right now, do you have any idea on the time frame of those funds?
I think we've heard that it's this fall. I guess once they pass the budget, which is October the 1st for the federal government, then we'll know what's in there. But right now, under Biden's proposal, it is in there. So we'll see how all that goes. This is discussion. So please let's all talk about it, and before we vote on it. That was a great question, Marty. So what are you all? What are your thoughts? Now, here's a crazy thing. Excuse me before we finish. This is only half the money. So please don't ask me what we're going to do a year from now, because I'm just trying to do this today. What to do today, And some people will, and I understand that, but I mean, we'll just have to see what it really is. What's going to happen next year.
Yeah.
An important thing to remember about these funds, if I could just interject for a moment, is that the entire amount of our funding, that's the both halves of what we got this year and what we expect to get next year, all of it has to be obligated by end of calendar year 2024, and all of it has to be spent before end of calendar year 2026.
I think we can do that, Andy.
We can do that.
So that's a good point, though. Let me ask Susan to ask that part of our discussion. When can we start spending it? If let's say that the committee says, yes, we like this, we go to the fiscal court, the fiscal court says we can do that. So let's take, for example, let's pull out the retro pay for the first responders. So could that, and I'm asking this for my knowledge, could that go into effect July 1st? I'll ask you, Susan.
We have the money, and we have the money in the budget now. Fiscal court could literally do a budget transfer to a line item within the ARPA fund category for fiscal court. The next meeting should make the amendment official. So following that action by fiscal court, that you vote, that you second the amendment and pass the amendment ordinance, then you can have a budget transfer to go ahead and transfer. As the judge said, it'd be 300,000 plus, so it could be close to $600,000 total once you add benefits and burden on top of that, because it's primarily hazardous duty pay, and you could issue that before June 30. You could do that right away. it wouldn't necessarily have to wait till July 1st. And in fact, if you're going to do it, certainly the retroactive part of it makes it cleaner because the rates for the retirement go up July 1st. But if we were paying retroactively and for time worked prior to July 1st, then it would still be subject to the earlier rates, but it would probably be cleaner, the sooner the better, since it hasn't been done yet and it's retroactive, right?
But if you did that, if we spent some of the money this year, you would have to change that number going into next year.
It would be less carryover.
Less carryover, yeah. Yeah, and some people may question that $2 an hour bonus, but some of these guys had.
It's not a bonus.
Well,
It's for time worked.
It's time work.
Premium pay.
Yeah, I'm just stating how people will look at it. But some of these guys had to stay away from their families during this whole time.
They had quarantine.
Quarantine to be able to go work. So,
Yeah, they put them up at several hotels for 2 weeks at a time.
And also, this is what the judge requested last year was $2. That's where he got the $2 on the hour. Just I wanted to give that information of last year when the city gave for their premium pay. It was $2 on the hour, and that's where the judge came up with that.
Makes sense.
So the city's was $2 per hour.
I'm not exactly sure on the city, but with the county, that's what the judge proposed last year during the pandemic.
But you said the city was paying premium pay last year.
The city did. I can't recall the per hour, what they paid them on
They
per
did it for like
hour.
3 or 4 months, I think, up into spring, sometime like April to July or something.
I've requested that information and haven't received it yet
Okay.
to see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. But anyway, it would just be first responders, and I know that some will say other things, but for the most part, you could stay away. People could stay away from other people, and these first responders, they really had it tough. They really had it tough. So it's just one way to say thank you. We appreciate what you've done. So that's it for this first round.
So I guess this $500 grant for water.
500,000.
500,000. It could be used, the plant board too, to extend, I know of at least one house in the city that doesn't have city water.
Well, I would hope that the city would use.
They have
their money.
something, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the city has their money. I hope the city would use that. I would want it to just be the county residents.
Yeah, that's fine.
In my thought.
Okay.
And let the city use theirs for extension. Yeah, you're right. I do have. I thought there were a couple of them.
They probably, on that one street and on.
Yeah.
Road.
Okay. Any other questions? Marty, the last meeting for Alan Allison is Thursday. Hate to see him go.
Well, is there something that you would like me to present to him, or are you coming in to present? to him?
No, I'm gonna have to Zoom. I'm gonna do something for him afterwards. I'm just gonna send him a letter of thank you after it's over. But he's still working to help. Alan's gonna continue to help, but we all might want to say something
Yeah.
in honor of it.
When is he going to?
The other person doesn't officially take over till July 1st, but their meeting
I
is
see.
Thursday.
Yeah, first week in the month.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the water district too, they have theirs in the first week.
Yeah, they do. All right,
Well, I'll make the motion that we pass these out of committee to the full court.
okay. You second it?
Sure.
Okay.
We're not gonna vote on this ourselves.
That's what we're doing right now. I just made a motion, you seconded it.
Oh,
You gotta make one motion for all 5 projects.
Yeah, just that's what I'm.
so,
If there's
in
not
order
5, is
for it
it?
to go,
Well, you had 5 bullet points.
Okay.
in order for it to go out of this committee to the fiscal court, we have to vote on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I second that motion.
Would you like for me to recap them to make
Yes.
sure we have them?
Because I'll
Okay.
have 4.
Okay, so the first one I have Farmdale Sanitation District, 1.5 million to cover the pump station on Twilight Trail.
Okay, so let's be clear on that. That would actually, those monies would actually go to the city. It would be Farmdale Sanitation, but it would go to the city who's building the pump station. So that's, and you concur with that?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Okay. The second one is $1 million for broadband. The third, infrastructure for water districts, $500,000.
And fire hydrants.
If
we're
possible.
just gonna leave that lumped in there. At this
If
point.
possible, if it will cover it, yes. The fourth is premium pay for first responders for $2 an hour for hours worked. That time will be determined at a later date for the sheriff, jail, fire, and coroners employees. And the fifth is revenue loss
I see.
for occupational tax, yes, to go back into the general fund.
Well, I don't,
Which we
that's
don't
really
know
not
the
I don't see that as it's not a project. And it won't go back into the general fund. It will still have restricted use.
Okay. So do we,
So that's not really stated correctly.
okay, how would you like for it to be stated? Let's state it. Or do you want it to be
We don't have a
stated up?
calculation at this point in time. I really don't see a point. It's not tied to a specific project or specific use.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like it needs a
Okay,
motion.
so we can remove it
Yeah,
from
just
the,
remove it.
Oh,
okay. Everyone is good with those. I have Squire Moore made the motion, Squire Booth second. Everyone in favor?
All in favor? Okay.
aye.
All
Good.
right. Thank you all. I know this was, this is probably one of the bigger things that we'll be doing for our community, and I'm grateful that you all were willing to serve on this committee to look at these projects. It's all about helping our community.
Yes.
There.
The main reason I came is I thought, well, sewer is going to have its day.
It sure does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Amen. Annie, we can see light in that tunnel for Farmdale, can't we?
Absolutely.
It's amazing, but we're seeing light. So we're gonna keep working at it. Okay, is motion to adjourn?
So move.
So, yeah.
All right, we got a motion and second to adjourn.
Aye.
We're all in favor. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, everyone. We appreciate you watching and you're seeing the fiscal court in action, and we appreciate everybody today watching this, and we appreciate the work of our good magistrate Squire Booth and Squire Moore in trying to do what's best